live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's season 4 of Sports Out of Pocket.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
We bring you the craziest controversies.
What is crazy is like the $4.5 million out of Shohei's pocket is maybe like $100, maybe like $50 to us.
Fire me up.
And I have to go at this Braves offense for not doing a thing in October for the second year in a row.
Twin picks.
A lot of quarterbacks can do that.
So 9 interceptions is getting
Two
it to your
straight.
receiver. And interviews you don't want to miss.
This is the Philly sports guy, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket.
This is former MLB All-Star Justin Masterson.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York.
Sports Out of Pocket is back and better than ever.
Let's go!
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Sports Out of Pocket. We have a great one for you today because we have the return of twin picks on this episode, and we're also talking about how the Falcons were able to get an incredible victory against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we're going to bring that up at the end of the show, probably for the Fire Me Up segment. So we're going to get into all of that, but before we do, how is everybody?
You know, Steven, I'm very excited. Like you said, I'm not over by the board. I will be for the second half of the show, but for the first half, you know how to get my old, nice, warm, and comfy seat back, because I'm about to get heated up in here when we stand up in the next segment after controversy, because, you know, we had to bring back twin picks, and you're cooked. I'm just letting you know that right ahead. You're cooked.
I'm going to go say right now, out of every twin picks we've ever done, I've never been more confident that I'm going to win than this one right here.
You also always say that before every twin pick.
I don't remember
for anybody that's not aware of the history, right now, it's tied 1-1. So, like, last season, it was Andrew that got the victory, and the season beforehand, it was Chase. So this season, it's breaking up that tie. So it's going to be exciting. There's probably going to be whoever wins to 3 matches before, whoever gets 3 wins first is the one that gets the Twin Picks trophy this year. So y'all are going to stay tuned throughout the entire season to see who gets that victory. But also, back in your original place, controlling the boards, pushing the buttons, making the levels, making us all sound good. How you doing, Mr. Voles?
Well, the thing is,
you having trouble with the mic there, buddy?
yeah, it keeps falling for some reason. But you know what? I'm just gonna do this. And Chase, I appreciate that. Can you hold that for a second?
Just hold
How
that the
am
whole show.
I feeling? My Eagles did lose, but I'll get that. I'll get onto that later this episode. I'll wait till episode 2 to describe how I'm feeling.
Yeah, there's a.
Describe how I'm
listen,
feeling.
I'm excited about the Falcons and the future of the team, especially this season, how they looked this past Monday. But there's another side to Atlanta sports that, unfortunately, we do also have to talk about. These Braves, they might not be making the playoffs this year, but we're going to get into that in a later segment. But for right now, let's talk about Bryce Young.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
We in here talking about practice.
It's time for the latest sports controversies.
So, Bryce Young is out and Andy Dalton is in. So, that decision was made this past week. The Panthers are going with the veteran quarterback instead of the young the phenom, as we all thought he was going to be, the first-round pick. And it just hasn't worked out. And now he's on the bench. He's only gotten 2 victories, and unfortunately one of those victories was against the Atlanta Falcons. But I'm not going to, talk about the past year. What are y'all's feelings about this? Bryce Young we all thought he was going to be, something special for the Panthers, or at least
new generation of Panthers.
And I thought they were going to take their time with him. I thought, okay, fine, their first year for somebody coming up, you're not going to get a C.J. Stroud type of situation, especially with the team that you're surrounding him with.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy for a guy to come up into an organization and just ball out in his first season. So I was thinking, okay, maybe the next season they're going to develop him a little bit more. They're going to try and
add some new weapons for him.
Add some new weapons. Try and find some people in free agency. And they didn't really make a lot of noteworthy moves in the offseason, and it just feels like the same Panthers team. And so, to me, it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel fair that they're trying to put all the blame on him for their struggles this year. It's not all on Bryce Young. He hasn't played great. Don't get me wrong. He hasn't played great to any means. But you also have to think about the situation that he's in.
I mean, I was gonna say last year's situation, the Panthers head coach was Frank Reich, right?
Yep.
And
he
they
was not
went,
right.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
And also, listen, I just also have to point this out. His number one receiver last year was Adam Thielen.
And it still is. It still is.
And he's 34 years old.
That just tells you everything right there.
Well, they did add Deontay Johnson, who was a really good threat in Pittsburgh, and they tried to bring in a guy like Dave Canales, who is known as the quarterback whisperer. He was the quarterback's coach for Seattle when Geno Smith had his breakout year, and last year he was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Baker Mayfield had his breakout year. So bringing in Dave Canales, you'd think that, you
forgot another weapon that he has.
Xavier
Legette. Oh, man. I don't think I'm that country.
Now, listen, when Andy Dalton met with Charlotte's media day, or should I say Jackson Schrader's father.
I'm pretty sure they're related.
The 36-year-old could barely contain, his excitement. And I think that's the kind of energy and passion that the Carolina Panthers had hoped to see in Bryce Young originally. And this is what he said. He said, I'm just thankful for an opportunity. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get it again. And he said, I'm fired up. I'm pumped. I'm getting a chance to do what I've done my whole career. Now, the Panthers this is interesting. The Panthers made the move on Monday by benching Bryce Young, who they drafted number 1 last year after trading 2 first-round selections and wide receiver DJ Moore to the Chicago Bears. The announcement came less than 24 hours after the first-year coach Dave Canales said Bryce is our quarterback when he was asked whether Young would remain the starter. Now, Canales, apparently, he had an empathy after watching the film of Young's performance during the 26-3 loss to the Chargers, which was statistically the worst year of Bryce Young's whole career. And forget winning. Forget winning, by the way. The Panthers weren't even competitive in their first 2 games under Canales. And losing by a combined 60 points to both the Saints and the Chargers. And Young's numbers, they were abysmal. No touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, and an NFL worst 44.1 passer rating. So when you put that into perspective, you kind of see the idea of why he thinks that Bryce Young maybe need to get sat down for a little bit. So I know the initial reaction by the fans of the NFL is like, hey, it's not Bryce Young's fault. Don't be pointing fingers. He's got the talent. You're just now surrounding him with the right people.
I mean, it's also that defense as well. You can't just blame it on
I just have
Bryce
one
Young.
quick comment. First thing is, this is no shade to Andy Dalton or anything. It kind of is just a little bit of shade. But you have to be absolutely unbearably bad. And for order, your only option is Andy Dalton. And you're just like, yeah, we have to go with you, big dog.
Bring Tom Brady out of retirement.
You forgot to mention this in the stat. He has a 9.1 QBR right now, which is second to last in the NFL. And I want to point out, what you said about bringing in a veteran like Andy Dalton to hopefully save the season, but you can't expect too much. But here's the vision. Maybe in the back of the Panthers' mind, they kind of think Bryce Young's career in Carolina might be over. And the only reason I'm saying that is because you got to look at their O-line. It's one of the worst in the league.
Name one guy on that O-line, Chase.
I can't.
Exactly.
It's horrible. And, 34-year-old Adam Thielen is your wide receiver 1, who, by the way, was wide open several times against the Chargers that Bryce Young missed, and it ticked Adam Thielen off. But here's my point. The O-line's bad. He has hardly any weapons. Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard is your backfield. He has no running back help to complement his passing game. So here's what needs to happen. Unless you're a star, rare quarterback like Drew Brees, who was able to thrive in San Diego when San Diego was bad, Bryce Young's not that guy. He needs a better environment to help him thrive. So I think they might think, instead of ruining his career, how about we go with Andy Dalton? Once the season's over, we'll hit the reset button, and they got to let him go. Because he has all the talent in the world to be great, but he needs a better environment.
I was going to say very quick, I think the Panthers need to take a page out of the Jaguars book, because we saw what Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars book. Hold on, let me.
What success have the Jaguars had to take any advice from the Jaguars?
I'm talking about when Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, who was his head coach? Urban Meyer. They bring in a guy like Doug Peterson, and now they are a playoff team.
Are they?
No, they were a playoff. I'm talking about.
I was like, dude, am I crazy? I thought the Jaguars.
Hold on. I'm talking about the year afterwards. They made the playoffs, right?
They did.
Yeah,
they didn't do well, but they didn't make the playoffs, I guess.
So I don't necessarily see how it's Bryce Young's fault necessarily.
No, it's not.
The only guy on the Panthers O-line is Taylor Moton.
No.
that I know of.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna transition this into something. Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to last year's draft. Okay,
I'm back in last year.
let's go ahead and let's switch up the draft board a little bit. Let's say C.J. Stroud is the #1 overall pick for the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and say Bryce Young gets picked for the Houston Texans.
Oh.
Does that shift his career a little
Yes.
bit?
Yes.
So if you put
Exactly.
Bryce Young into a situation like with the Texans, Bryce Young's not going through these struggles.
No.
Yes.
He wouldn't be going through the same type of struggles he is with the Panthers. And then C.J. Stroud, oh my gosh. Listen, talent-wise, like coming out of college, we all thought that they were neck and neck.
Yeah.
But it's just about the situation that you're surrounded by. I mean, C.J. Stroud now has like the best wide receiver core in the entire league.
It's ridiculous.
And Bryce Young's just sitting there just like, who am I about to throw to?
Like
I
Sam
got
Darnold-
nobody. The O-line's
Sam
not
Darnold,
blocking.
Similar, like Sam Darnold, similar situation. He was
is.
thrown in that New York Jets offense. Who did they have? Name one guy.
Nobody.
Name
Wilson.
one guy.
Garrett
No,
Wilson.
Garrett Wilson was
Hey,
on the
look,
team.
he's feasting with the Vikings.
I don't
right
want
now.
to toot my own horn
Exactly.
here. Can you toot my horn?
Toot.
Okay. Hey, during last
Don't
year,
ever ask me to toot your horn again.
Why was your horn a fist? I didn't get that.
what do you want me to do?
I didn't know what
Toot
you-
my horn.
I don't want to do that either. Let's move
listen,
on from the
hey,
toy.
the draft class that the draft show that we did the year Bryson was drafted, I want to point out, I said C.J. Stroud should go #1.
Exactly.
I just want to leave that out there. I said from the beginning.
You should be the Panthers GM.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Go.
Sign me
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You need to leave.
Carolina. No,
But that's my thing, is just like, unless they are bringing in other people to surround their quarterback with, I mean, C.J. Stroud would have struggled too. C.J. Stroud's probably going to be in that same similar situation. Like, if you ain't got nobody blocking you, I don't care how quick, how great you can get out of the pocket, how fast you are. I mean, that's eventually going to tire you out to the point where you're just like, there's nothing I can do. I get the football and I get in a second to throw it downfield. Like, there's not enough time for the routes to develop. There's not enough time. It's like college football mode when you're in like when the bar's at the full meter. Like you just
it's like playing-
you got nowhere to throw to. You're going crazy.
Playing at Penn State on Heisman difficulty. You want to have the Bryce Young experience? Do exactly
Finish
that.
the song, Jackson. I got.
Okay.
Just wrap it up. I don't know. I don't know what you were trying to
I knew where that was going.
Thank you.
Well, all right. It is time for the return of Twin Picks.
Let's go.
Two brothers,
Same birthday.
completely different takes.
Oh, boy! Yes!
It's time for Twin Picks.
All right. Before you guys start debating, I just have to lay down some ground rules for this year, all right?
Yeah.
Last year, there was a couple of times to where, like, sometimes, like, y'all weren't letting each other finish each other's points. Y'all were talking over each other a lot. And sometimes that happens in heated debates.
And we've
I
got
get
some
it.
criticism.
I get it. But let's go ahead and let's solve this right now. Andrew, you get 4 minutes. Chase, you get 4 minutes.
And then 2
at the
minutes
end
for
of this,
deliberation.
yes, at the end
And
of
then
this,
we
it's
give it to
me,
Christian.
Oh, y'all keep it
Jackson,
time?
and if we tie, if we both can't
Yes.
come to an equal agreement on who wins the debate, then it goes to the booth and it goes to Christian.
Hey, not even the presidential debate is formal,
All
so
right.
I don't
First
feel
of
too
all,
bad
I'm
about
gonna
it.
That's fair.
actions.
That's
For
fair,
sure
but
it
we're out
is.
of pocket, all right? I'm not trying to have both of you shouting at
right.
each other
We're
for
gonna be
8
better.
straight minutes.
We'll be the example.
First of all, I wanted to ask y'all, what is y'all's topic?
Oh, so the topic presented today is which current 2-0 NFL team is actually legit and they are contenders and not a pretender.
Which one of our teams has a better shot of being the true contenders? Is the
Okay.
real debate.
So we
Like a
each
Super
picked a-
Bowl or
we-
playoff
That's
contenders,
interesting
just
because it's
just
like
contenders.
there's a lot of
I've
teams you
heard
can
both
think of here.
teams' names.
So we each
There's a
pick-
lot of teams you can think of here.
there
There's the
is.
Vikings.
Yeah.
There
So
are.
there's about 7 or 8 2-0 teams. But Chase,
All right,
I'm gonna
Chase.
let you get the 4 first. I'm
Aw.
gonna be the bigger person here.
Thanks, man. Now, before I present my team, I want you to know this is how you know it's legit. I'm a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan.
You're going with the Saints.
No,
Buccaneers.
the Tampa Bay
Okay.
Buccaneers. They are 2-0 right now. At the start of the season, everybody was thinking the NFC South was going to come down to either the Atlanta Falcons or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody expected the Saints to be as good as they're looking right now, which they look amazing right now. But you got to know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 2-0 and they are legit. And let me tell you why.
Legit?
Look at week 1 versus the Commanders. A nice 37-20 win. Now, I know the Commanders, they're not a bright and shiny team. However, Baker Mayfield, 24 for 30, 289 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions. A clean and masterful game.
Okay.
Look at week 2 against the Lions. A feisty 20-16
That was more
win
impressive.
on the road, where Baker Mayfield went 12 for 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown interception. Nothing too shiny, but he had 34 rushing yards and a clutch rushing touchdown. He was moving out to the pocket looking fisky and feisty and gorgeous.
It was a career high, 11-yard rush, by the way. Congratulations, Baker.
Chris Godwin.
Oh, my receiver, my fantasy receiver.
200 receiving yards on 15 receptions. That's a 13.3 average and 2 TDs. Now, where's Mike Evans? He is hardly involved, and the Buccaneers are still this good. So just imagine how much better they're going to be once Mike Evans gets all buttered up and he starts rolling. Now, let's look at
I don't want Mike Evans buttered up.
Let's look at Rashad White. 49 yards on 15 carries. Rashad White ain't doing crap. But we know Rashad White is a great running back. So how much better are the Buccaneers going to be once he gets buttered up and Miss Butterworth's butter and he starts slicking and sliding?
Are we talking about football?
What is happening?
Are we talking about football?
My point is, the Buccaneers offense is clicking and clocking without 2 of their major
All right,
threats.
sounding like Dr. Seuss is not going to win you the
So
argument.
imagine if ticky-tacky on the clock, they start clicking. The Buccaneers are going to be beautiful. But don't discredit their defense because they have been just as dominant. I'm talking about Zion McCollum and Christian Eisen, I believe that's pronounced his name, who each got a pick in that game against the Lions. And their D-line got 0 sacks against the Lions. But the Lions only had 16 points. So you know what that means? Imagine if they get plastered with that butter and they start clicking as well. They are going to be unstoppable. The only team that's going to stop them is the Atlanta Falcons, baby. You heard it here first. I rest my case. Tampa Bay, they are legit.
Okay, now, my team that I'll be choosing is the AFC. Why did I forget what
Good start.
AFC East, excuse me. AFC East finest Buffalo Bills. Have you ever had buffalo wings, guys?
I love me a Buffalo wing, man.
Well, I love me the Buffalo Bills, baby. The Bills are embracing their new heavy identity, which has even more momentum to lift Josh Allen in his first full season with Joe Brady calling plays. Now, that was bound to be a favorable adjustment toward more efficiency and less pressure to do everything on Allen. But the defense, despite facing some talent drain in the back 7 and no Matt Milano, he's not there anymore, remember, he has been solid for Sean McDermott, disrupting the Cardinals and the Dolphins when needed most. Now, the Bills are back in that saddle, baby. It's the Wild West up in here. As a team to beat in the AFC East are the Buffalo Bills for the true contenders. Now, as the Buffalo Bills begin their preparations for Week 3, they're one of 9 unbeaten teams in the NFL to go 2-0. That's why we're debating this right now. And the Bills own the best record in the AFC after beating up on the Cardinals and the Dolphins. 2 notable wins after seeing what the Cardinals were able to do.
Okay,
to
but
the
that's
Los
Mr.
Angeles Rams.
Concussion, you know.
Now, there are several reasons why Buffalo has been one of the league's best teams through 2 games, but Allen is likely the most significant. Allen has firmly entrenched himself in the early MVP conversation as he has completed 73% of his passes for 371 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Baker's
now, his
been better.
ability to run the ball has also played a factor in those considerations, as he's rushed for 41 yards and has had 2 additional touchdowns. Now, though Josh Allen is the reason why the Bills are contenders, one player does not make a team, because I am an inclusive kind of guy, But thankfully, Buffalo's entire roster has looked pretty buttered up, if you want to talk about butter.
No, don't steal my line.
Though, through 2 games. Now, 30-year running back James Cook. I was hating on him at the start of the season, but I got to give credit where credit is due.
That's 1 game, man.
He's picked up 200 scrimmage yards and 3 total touchdowns. And the defense has been humming over the last 6 quarters as players like Greg, Von Miller, Christian Benford, Russell Douglas, and Jamarcus Ingram has shined in Buffalo. Now, Allen will obviously be tasked with leading the team to the postseason, which he's demonstrably been able to do. We've seen it. He's capable of it. That's the experience that he has that I don't feel like Baker Mayfield does. But the general roster looks roused enough to make some noise to get there. Now, this is the big contributing factor here. What division are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in?
The NFC South.
They have other true contenders like the New Orleans Saints, who I would argue are a more contender than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we saw what the Atlanta Falcons were capable of do, getting that key win in Philadelphia on Monday night. As the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets have struggled in the first 2 weeks. They had to crawl their way to get a win over the lackluster Tennessee Titans. They were blown out by the San Francisco 49ers, and while the New England Patriots did defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1, the Bengals always start off slow. The Patriots aren't a good football team. I don't want you to mess that over. Mayo, love him as a head coach, but they're not a good football team. And it's a real possibility that the Buffalo Bills lock up this AFC East, making them far more contenders in the Tampa Bay
The Buccaneers receiving core is way better. Way better, by the way.
Okay.
All right. So it's time for deliberation.
I want you to go first,
Do you
Steven.
want me to go first?
I do want
Come
you
on,
to go first.
Steve.
Because I went first last time.
Hey, Steven, I love your shirt, by the way.
Steven.
Flattery will get you nowhere, my friend. All right.
Don't
I think,
butter him up,
listen,
too.
honestly, I think both of you made incredible points.
Yeah.
I think both teams are actually legitimate this year. The Bills have shocked me, especially with their receiving core. I wasn't expecting them to be as good as they have been for the first 2 weeks. And honestly, you said Josh Allen was a big contributor. Bro, the second week was because of James Cook.
All
James
James Cook.
And I
was
gave him his props.
unbelievable. Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned him. But also, the Buccaneers, this is why the Buccaneers are just incredible. Okay, so the Baker Mayfield has been unbelievable. Rashad White, there's question marks there, but he's obviously a top running back there. The receiving core for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers speaks for itself. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans have been unbelievable. That's the thing is there's still holes in both arguments though.
Sure. Okay.
There's still holes in both arguments. So,
But mine has an established run game.
But mine has a that receiving core for Buffalo is drowsy, dude.
Really? Because Josh Allen, again,
I
he's
think-
been great in the air.
because of how I'm looking at the schedules coming up here,
Think about divisions.
and because of what I'm thinking of, I think we're gonna see the Buccaneers slightly get above the Bills this year. I think the Buccaneers are legitimate. But here's the thing.
My heart.
Here's the thing. They got 2 challenges up ahead of them. It's the Saints and the Falcons.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the Buccaneers are built for both of those challenges.
Steven, you know ball. You know ball.
Let's see if Jackson knows
Okay,
ball.
let's see if I do know ball. Now, I'm a big believer in Baker Mayfield.
You
He's your
remember the
fantasy
stats you
quarterback.
told me? Remember the stats you told me earlier?
I
He's your
did
fantasy
tell
quarterback.
you.
I should already
5
have your vote.
touchdowns, 1 interception. He's 36 for 49. And I know you said they had trouble with the run game, but Bucky Irving has looked fantastic as well. Guy out
Oh,
of
yeah. Oh,
Bucky
my gosh.
Irving. Bucky
It
Irving
it
has
hurts
looking
me because I
fantastic
have
as
Rashad
well.
White in the fantasy.
Now, the Buffalo Bills, everybody had questions with them coming into this season due to the loss of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. But the Buffalo Bills, I get Tua got injured, but still, before Tua got injured,
game was already over.
the Buffalo Bills look fantastic.
They did.
They look fantastic against that Miami Dolphins defense. James Cook, shout out to Jason Barker over there that James Cook's his fantasy running back, and shout out to one of the witch, JT, who is a Buffalo Bills fan in there as well. Who do I think, if we're talking about straight up division contenders, I feel like the Buffalo Bills have a higher likely chance to win their division than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If we're talking about still playoff, who's going deeper in the playoffs, I'm going to leave it up to Christian. I'm going with the
all right.
Buffalo Bills.
So Christian,
They go to
is
Buffalo?
before-
I'm going
before-
to- I give it to Buffalo.
Before you
My boy.
pick,
I give
I
it to
just
Buffalo.
want.
I give it to Buffalo.
I'm going to go ahead and just give you a countdown. I'm going to just go 3, 2, 1, and then you point at who wins this debate. All right?
Christian, I love your hat, man. It's
I
on
can't see
point.
it.
Christian, you've
So-
always been my favorite member of Outta Pocket.
Christian?
You've always been my favorite member.
Christian, all right. 3, 2, 1. Check. Andrew.
No!
Andrew. All righty. All right.
No! It's all right. It's all right.
The
It's all right. You know
Buffalo
what?
Bills
It's all right. It's all
has
right.
been it's majority now. The Buffalo
majority.
Bills has been decided that they're going to make a deeper playoff
It's all right.
run
It's all right.
than the Buccaneers this year. And all I got to say is if that's not the case and the Buccaneers actually make it further,
Yeah, and the Buccaneers went
Hey,
9 and 8
and that's
last
all
year,
I
too.
want.
Here's the thing.
That's
I
all
hope
I
that's
want.
not true because
Right.
I'm a Falcons
Yeah,
fan.
I hope
hope
it's
the
not true
Falcons
either.
win this
Amen.
division
I hope
and
it's not
knock
true
them
either.
out of here.
I love
so
Baker Mayfield,
that's all
but-
that works.
Amen.
All right. Well, Andrew, congratulations on your first
Congratulations.
win.
It feels good. It feels good.
You know, it's not an over. It's a long season.
I'll pay my
Chase, you
respects.
got.
I'll pay my
I'm
respects.
gonna
got-
make
you
Outta
got time
Pocket
to
great
come
again.
back.
I'm gonna make Outta Pocket great again, guys.
But all right, we're going to go into a quick song. When we come back, it's time to talk about, unfortunately, a bad week in fantasy in my book. But for these guys, it was a great week. So,
I got the dubs.
2-0 club right here. 2-0
so
club
we're
right
going to
here.
talk about that when we come back.
Hey, yo, what up? My name is Josh Martinez from Z100 New York, and you're listening to my dudes from the Sports Out of Pocket on the Wolf Sports Network.
A new voice is in the airwaves on Sports Pack and is bringing some interesting takes.
I don't think we need to trade anyone. Actually, hold on, let me back that up. I think we need to trade Trae Young. Keep those two guys one more year for Jared Stidham and O'Connell.
The Denver Broncos select Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
Look, it didn't work out, but you can tune in Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network.
Listen to me now. Kirk Cousins is more valuable in fantasy than Jalen Hurts.
What are you talking about? You are dead wrong. It's time for some fantasy football.
He may not be more valuable in fantasy, but he's more valuable on a Monday Night Football night. That's what I'm talking about. Kirk O'Chains took it over in Philadelphia. But we're going to talk about that later. Right now, we're talking about the fantasy matchups or fantasy and how everything worked out for this week. Now, look, I feel like we just go ahead and get the disappointment out of the way. Like, I did not fare well. You hush. Mine was disappointing. Absolutely. This past week was not great for my team. Let's just go ahead and just I'm gonna just name off a couple of players, and then I feel like that's what we all should do. Just like let's just highlight some players that won your fantasy matchups or just aren't doing too well for you. So I got two off the bat. First one that comes to mind is Tank Dell. So, listen, we all expected Tank Dell to be the wide receiver 3 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the expectation. Nico Collins is obviously wide receiver
2. I always know. Stephon Diggs. That's Stephon Diggs.
And Nico Collins, I mean, you have to believe that Tank Dell's going to get the less of receptions out of both of them.
Yeah.
But first week, I was happy because I was like, oh, man, he got like 4 targets. He actually got like some receptions in that game. So I was like, okay, so he's still a key piece with C.J. Stroud. I mean, even on the broadcast of this past game, they were talking about how C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell have like a really good relationship. Like they're best friends on the team.
That goes a long way too. A long way.
Like so, there is a guy that like in a situation that C.J. Stroud's going to rely on. I was figuring that was going to be Tank Dell.
Right
now. That wasn't the case, obviously, this past week.
Sure,
so he had 1 reception for -3 yards, and I think he got 1 point for me in this past matchup. And basically, the one thing that disappointed me most was there was a key play where Tank Dell had his defender beat downfield, and C.J. Stroud threw an absolute dot to him. Mm-hmm. And Tank Dell jumped too soon, and the ball tipped off of his fingertips. If he catches that ball, he's in the end zone for 6, no matter what. And so that would have been huge for me in this past matchup. But Tank Dell that's still only 2 receptions in the game.
It is.
It's just he's not getting a lot of carries, getting a lot of receptions. Nico Collins is the guy right now. Nico Collins is the guy that that C.J. Stroud is going after, that he's going to keep going after. Tank Dell, he's going to get his receptions. I'm not saying that like there's going to be room for improvement here, but I'm just feeling for my team as overall. How long can I afford to wait until Tank Dell's able to like get over that hump and find this new rapport, be in tune with this new role that he has with the Texans?
Steven, man, you did mention a guy in that previous sentence. Who was it?
Okay, listen, Nico Collins, but let me get one more player out before you go. Before we move on, there's another play. Oh, actually, no. Forget Rachaad White. I feel like he's going to get better. I think he was injured in this past game. We'll move on from Rachaad White. Cowboys defense.
Ooh, how about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys, Steven?
Why? Just tell me. Just genuinely, I need you to just like give me an explanation of what was that on your own home turf, your home opener. You just let the Saints come into your house and absolutely dog walk you for 4 quarters. That makes no sense. I mean, your defense this year should not be giving up 40 points to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Bills. I don't care if you're the Bengals, the Chiefs. Your defense is good enough to stop the run.
Well,
they had no answers for Alvin Kamara. It made no sense. And so that really messed me up in fantasy this week because I was relying on their defense to at least give me consistent points. Like, if not 10, at least give me 6 or 7 every week. This week, it was like Kamara was just another human, like was on another planet.
There was
on
no
another
answer.
level. There was no answer for what he was able to do.
Steven. On a less somber note, you did mention a guy in your previous statement.
Collins.
Mr. Nico Collins. Shout out to everybody who influenced me to take Nico Collins because I did believe that Nico Collins I thought he was going to be wide receiver 2 at first, seeing Diggs come in, But Nico Collins dropped 27.5 points for me last week. And another guy I just found out I drafted him 76th overall. And a lot of people were a little low on this guy, and I brought him in heading into week 1. Rashee Rice. As I said before, he only started half of his games last season and was almost a 1,000-yard receiver. Oh my gosh, that hurt my voice.
You okay?
Anyways,
You need to take a minute.
Rashee Rice, man, he helped me go 2-0. And me and Andrew, me and you are the only 2-0. I had a really close matchup with Christian over here this week. But Rashee Rice, man, 19 points in, especially with Travis Kelce's tight end share going down and Marquise Brown being ruled out for the season. It's looking odds in my favor. The only thing I don't like about my team, and you told us to mention players we didn't like, DeAndre Swift.
Ooh.
DeAndre Swift, what are you doing, man? Like, it's that Bears offense, just in general. DeAndre Swift, he posted a career high this season for fantasy points with 8.2 points. And the only thing I don't like about my team is if one guy in my starting lineup gets injured until week 5.
Your bench is kind of cooked. That's the one thing about my team as well. I feel like a lot of guys on my bench are potential starts now. Like if Kenneth Walker's out again this week, Zach Charbonnet is right there to start off the bench, and he got 17 points last week. So he's a guy that I can potentially start.
But
Christian, just give me like two guys. Like if one that really did well for you this week, and one that just got to do better.
I mean, honestly, a lot of my wide receiver room is stacked. So real quick, I have Adams and Amon-Ra. They both did over 20 points. They're amazing. Josh Allen just got to do better. Just really quick, waiver wire pickups this week. I just want to throw out there.
Okay.
Everybody spent a lot of money. Apparently,
I threw in the bag.
Yep, I saw. You picked up Derek Carr. I picked up Carson Steele. I threw $150 at Carson Steele, and those are some people that I think we would both recommend that you need to pick up or you want to pick up. Another person is Juwan Jennings that Barker took. So just some people for you in your league if you're struggling. Grab those people if they're still available.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm just saying, I feel bad for Gavin Ellis, Looking at his team right now, he was without Pacheco. He's without Nakua. Again, the punishment in this league is rough. Punishment
rough. You can't say that around Chase. But anyways, let me go and just point towards my team really quick. Now, Steven, you already hinted on this guy, as you should and as I expected you to. Now, I took down Richard Reed, which some call a rivalry. But I love you, Richard. I don't want to hurt you too bad, but I did hurt you real bad when I took you down by a score of 152 to 101, and that was mainly due to a guy, you may have heard of him, Alvin Kamara, 115 rushing yards on just 20 attempts and 3 touchdowns. That's just through a ground. Not to mention his 65 receiving yards and his 1 touchdown and his breakaway run on a little on a running back wheel route. Now that's a guy that I'm obviously high on. If I had talked to a guy that I was low on, it's a guy that I traded for with Mr. Jason Barker. Now this is why it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I gave away DK Metcalf. Okay, DK Metcalf was spectacular in that game against the Patriots. Yep. In return, I got the supposed #1 tight end in fantasy, Sam Laporta, who in the first 2 weeks, extremely lackluster. Just 2 targets in that game against Tampa Bay for 13 yards. Now, if you're a guy that's supposed to be the second coming of Travis Kelce, you got to be a little more involved in that pass game with a guy like Jared Goff throwing you the ball. Yeah. But we just didn't see it. You could credit the Tampa Bay linebackers. I'm not disclosing them at all. But I just feel like I need more out of Laporta, okay? If I'm making a trade that impactful to my team, I'm going to need more out of him, or otherwise I'm on the losing end.
Also, I don't mean to keep eating these sour grapes, but just one more thing. I want to just go ahead and give it up for the #1 receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, Alec Pierce. I mean, my gosh, nobody expected it. Michael Pittman's just sitting out there basically just running around at this point. He's only catching half of his targets anyways. Like, he caught 3 of 7 this past week, so that really hurt me.
Steven, I can change that for you, man.
The trade that you send me is I'm looking at it.
Okay. I just want to say before we wrap up this segment, how are y'all feeling about heading into this week's matchups?
Not great. I mean, honestly, look, I'm probably going to put in Darnell Mooney to start this week and hoping that in this Kansas City Chiefs matchup that he's able to get just a couple of receptions from Kirk. I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping Demarcus Robinson's in there just because now Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both out. So I'm hoping Robinson's now Tutu Atwell was the guy that was getting some receptions, and Parkinson and also Demarcus Robinson is there also in the mix. So I'm hoping he gets a lot of receptions as well.
Hey, I'm feeling good going against John Howley, so.
I got Schrader this week. Derek Carr, he was a big addition that I got off the waiver wire. I was dropped 200 for him, so he better be worth it.
How are you feeling about this week?
Well, he's going up against me, so I'm hoping you're feeling pretty right because my receiving core needs to step it up.
Hey, it's pretty even.
Okay, with all that being said, it's time to pick our games of the week.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down.
It's time for the game of the week.
All right, Jackson, let's go ahead and start this off with you. For this weekend matchups, I mean, we have some football games going on. Baseball is about to end their season. What's a matchup that you like going into this weekend?
You know, there is a matchup I do really like, and it's regarding, we're going to talk more about this team in the next segment, but the Philadelphia Eagles. You know,
against Alvin Kamara.
Against Alvin Kamara. You know, we struggled against containing Bijan. He put up like 90-something yards.
Bijan, is that really?
By the way, go follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. Go check out the latest reels from Sports Outta Pocket. But it's Eagles versus Saints. The Saints, you know, they're 2-0. Alvin Kamara is filthy. He's nasty. He's dropped like 60-something total fantasy points over the past 2 weeks. That run game is unstoppable. Derek Carr has looked fantastic as well, getting the ball to Rashid Shaheed, which we didn't really think was going to be wide receiver 1 in New Orleans. We all thought it was going to be Chris Olave.
It's been a surprise.
It's been a surprise, and I feel like Jalen Hurts, it wasn't all on Jalen Hurts last week. We're going to get a little bit more into that next segment. It was more the play calling, but we need to see better from the defense, especially that secondary. Rookie mistakes. Quinyon Mitchell, yes, he's a rookie, but you got to know when to adjust, man. But Eagles, I only picked this game. I am an Eagles fan, and I just want this to be the revenge tour. Who do I think wins? I don't necessarily know. Right now, I'm thinking the Saints, but...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Man, they're in their hometown. I mean, they just came out. They came out of just like absolutely destroying the Cowboys,
and they're looking to take down.
They look like the
NFC
number one
East
offense
guy.
in the NFL right now.
Oh, dude, I thought coming into the season with all the off-season acquisitions that the Falcons made, I wasn't even thinking about New Orleans. They were in the back of my mind.
I mean, no, neither was I.
They proved to be the front runners in the NFC South right now. But Christian, what kind of game are you highlighting this weekend?
So, like Jackson, I'm a Packers fan, so I do want to highlight them, but it's not for the reason of, I think Green Bay is going to win. Malik Willis, coming in after he played a great week, goes up against his former team, the Tennessee Titans. So even if it was anybody, just somebody who was kicked off of their team less than a month ago, going up against their former team and getting the start when they didn't do good, I really want, not for Green Bay's sake, but I want to see Malik Willis ball out, for him to say, this is who I am, I can play, I can throw this ball, I will outduel Will Levis, and I'll show you that you made the wrong decision and hopefully get himself a starting spot somewhere in the league next year.
Okay. Steven,
All
you
right,
want to take the reign on this? I
quick.
think I might know what game you're talking about.
Real quick. No, actually, I'm looking at these Ravens and Cowboys.
Okay.
So the reason that I'm like, listen, the Ravens have been very lackluster this year when it comes to, I mean, they've had 2 tough matchups at the gate, but everybody thought that the Raiders was an easy dub. I mean, they were like, the Ravens have, like, in my opinion, the better offense. I thought their defense was like, they did everything they could to stop the Chiefs, but they've been very lackluster, and they're off to an 0-2 start. And then they're going into a Dallas environment, a Dallas Cowboys team who is absolutely furious of how that Saints game went down. They're out for revenge in this game.
I would not want to be playing them in week 3.
Oh my gosh, they're going out there with a new type of aggression. They're looking to win this game because the Cowboys, they can't afford to start off 1-2, but also the Ravens, they can't really afford to start off 0-3, especially with this division race, and they're trying to get back to the AFC Championship. They're trying to get back to a deep playoff run, and right now it's just not getting off into the best starts. So listen, it's going to be very interesting because I want to see who wins this one. Because, like, honestly, a loss for both of these teams really hurts at this point. So they're going to be fighting each other. I feel like it's going to be a back-and-forth matchup. And it's also going to be hard-nosed. Especially, like I said, the Cowboys, especially their defense, is really ticked off right now. And a lot of people are now giving them a lot of question marks. So I feel like that defense is coming in with a new type of attitude, and they're going to sit there and, do everything they can to get to Lamar.
And not to mention that Justin Tucker is the only kicker in the NFL to be to have 0 made field goals from beyond, I think 45 yards is the mark. He's 0-2 from that range. And that's money for Justin Tucker.
That's crazy.
So even Justin Tucker is off his game right now for Baltimore. But I think you're right, Steven. This is a very pivotal game for both. And I'm going to kind of flip it to Cowboys head coach McCarthy because he's been on the hot seat, I think, for ever since we saw them lose in that divisional round 2 years ago. And then we saw him get blown out by the Packers last year. Shout out to your Packers, Christian.
There's one thing that I can say. There is nothing like having a Cowboys fan just filled with hope for another season.
It's beautiful.
And then just every single season something happens and there's just disappointment.
Did you guys see the video of the guy slam his TV down the ground and run over with his truck?
Yeah, he backed up his truck on it.
Look, man, there's a saying there, as until Jerry Jones is not taking control of this team anymore, that's when the Cowboys are going to find success. Because as long as he's the owner, they're never going to win another Super Bowl.
Can I bring him one final game?
Real quick.
I also want to do a game real quick, so make it quick.
Then you haven't said a game. So
well, I was just gonna say because I think I think I'd be a fool not to preview this game after seeing that Monday Night Football. Just like Jackson picked his Eagles, I'm going Falcons and Chiefs for Sunday night. My brother and I are actually going to be in attendance for that one. And it's gonna be crazy because we saw kind of Kansas City become more vulnerable than what we're used to seeing them last week against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow played a great game. Got to give him credit. He was out there calling it Burrowhead Stadium. They did end up losing, of course, because of what some people call to be a controversial pass interference.
Talked about that.
But it was pass interference. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and that's why we didn't, because I feel like all of us are just after looking at that play again. I mean, unless you're a Bengals fan, I'm looking at that play again, and I was like, yeah, you can't make that much contact. But then there was another argument saying that a Bengals D-line was getting held like crazy after Mahomes was coming out of the pocket and trying to throw downfield. And I looked at that again, and I was like, yeah, it could have been offsetting penalties, but
and that was the main argument. But then we saw what the Falcons did on Monday night. Kirk Cousins, it took him a while to wake up. It was more so in the second half when we saw him become more comfortable in the pocket, use his time in the pocket to make his progressions, because he was missing a lot of open receivers downfield in that first half. But in the second half, especially in that 2-minute drill, he missed nobody. And I think that gave Kirk Cousins the confidence that he needs going to this Sunday matchup. And one thing I want to note real quick, Chris Jones is the only guy on that Chiefs defensive line that is able to apply any pressure. And I think it kind of shows that the D-line in Kansas City may not be as aggressive as we might think. And if Kirk Cousins, we saw in Philadelphia, if you buy him time in the pocket, he's going to move the ball down the field. So if we can contain the guy like Chris Jones and keep Kirk Cousins alive in the pocket long enough to find Darnell Mooney on those deep routes in the middle, Drake London on those out routes on the sideline, Ray McLeod, who's been a surprise this season. I'm not saying my pick is the Chiefs, unbiasedly. I think the Chiefs will come away, but expect the Falcons to give Patrick Mahomes a dogfight, because I think in a Sunday night crowd in Atlanta is going to give them energy to fuel that close game.
It ain't going to be easy.
No.
Listen, I'm glad the Falcons were able to get that win against the Eagles, because that's why I was like, I just had it bookmarked. I thought we were going to go 0-3, especially with these two teams that were facing back-to-back. But all right, Jackson, I'm sorry we don't have enough time for you to get this other. We could probably get it up in the Fire Me Up segment for the another game.
We love you, Jackson.
All right, so we're going to go into a quick song. When we come back, it's time to get fired up, baby, about these Atlanta Falcons getting the win over the Eagles. We'll be right back.
This is the Philly Sports Guy, and you're listening to Sports Out of Pocket on Wolf Sports Network.
Because this isn't
not
the
the
end.
end. It's not the end at all.
It's just the beginning.
And this is just the beginning of Triple Threat, taking it live on the airways. So get ready to hear our takes.
Pimento cheese sucks.
And debates and much more.
In college, what made Johnny Manziel so electrifying, how he got those big plays, was he would snap the ball, wait for the play to break down, and then make the play.
So catch us live on Fridays at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Fire me up. For just real quick before we get into the segment, guys, how was your Monday?
Oh, dude, my Monday. If I describe in one word, fantastic.
Andrew, how was your Monday?
You know, Steven? I had a swell Monday. Actually,
great.
Monday night was really good.
I had a swell Monday night.
You did?
As well.
Oh, you did? Good.
Jackson?
Good. What about you?
How was your Monday?
3.
Everyone back up.
Everybody back up.
Everyone back up.
Nick Sirianni, why are you the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles? I am coming for your seat. I am coming for you. I don't care. If we take those 3 points at the beginning of the game, we win the game. We win the game.
What about the fourth down? What about the third down?
Hold on. And the fourth down. And the fourth down at the end of the game when you're throwing to Saquon.
That was third down. That was third down.
It was third down?
Yep.
I don't care. It was third down. Anyway, I don't care what down it is. You don't throw it to Saquon. Run it up the middle. He's been running up the middle.
You don't
Great
throw it at
game.
all. You don't throw it at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop.
No.
Run it up. Run it up the middle.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Do you not learn? Do you not learn from the Patriots Super Bowl like 10 years ago? You don't throw the ball.
That was a Marshawn Lynch
You don't
situation.
Throw the ball. You give it to Saquon. Even with A.J. Brown, we probably still would have lost because of that awful play call.
Do you need some tissue?
No, I don't care anymore.
In the words of Andrew
I
Will,
don't care
do you need a
anymore.
hanky? Do you need a hanky, Jackson?
All right. So you're depressed, but we're all happy because look, even when Saquon dropped that ball. Like, what was so funny is that I wasn't able to watch the game because I had some other commitments. I wasn't able to actually watch the game live. What was so funny is there was, like, somebody coming in with an iPad. Like, I was over in the theater, and he was like, well, the Falcons just lost because apparently the Eagles had, like, a first down, and, like, it was, like, with a limited time left.
Yep, they're running the clock. They're clock running.
Exactly. That's why I say run the ball. If you run the ball, it gives him maybe, like, 35 to plus 40
and
seconds
so that's
down
when
the
I was
field.
like, oh well, I guess we just lost. And then I go out into my car, I get my phone on the charger, and I'm looking through our group chat, and all of a sudden, like, I hear the Twins just going like, we won. Kirk's going. I was like, how did we win that game? And I'm looking at the phone, and I'm like, we won 22-21. And then I look back at that Kirk Cousins drive in the last couple of minutes of the game, and just how it was like. Listen, here's the thing. Jackson, can you just give me an explanation of what the defense was thinking in that moment? There was no pressure on, like, they were giving Kirk so much time in the pocket. He just had all the time in the world to find Darnell Mooney, find Kyle Pitts on an out route.
I just gotta say, our secondary
is awful.
outside.
Like we've been saying.
Hold on. Outside of Darius Slay, our secondary is
Garner
not great.
Johnson is buns.
Bro,
Garner Johnson is absolute buns.
Hold on. His first year with Philadelphia before he went to Detroit, he led the league in interceptions
Hey, guess
before
what?
he got
That
injured.
sounds like a lot of the guy that we know, huh?
Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, interceptions.
He was talking about a guy that was really good in the first year and then
AJ Terrell?
There you go.
AJ Terrell?
Yeah, a guy really good in the first year, then terrible for
That's
the
what
rest
you
of
were
the
talking about. Okay.
But and then he had all that. He all had that beef with Philly or whatever. Said he hated our fan base. He hated all that.
Understandable.
Outside of Darius Slay, who's still producing great defensive numbers at the age of 30-something, Quinyon Mitchell, I'm gonna give him lenience. He's a rookie. But outside of that, I just do not know. Chase, I want to see what you have.
Yeah, well, you have something to present. Sucks for the Philadelphia Eagles? Do y'all remember when Bijan went up to middle on fourth down and C.J. Gardner came in and ate Bijan up, and then he acted like a fool on the field, saying he didn't throw off his helmet? Do y'all think he threw off his helmet?
No,
hold on.
Off his
The
helmet.
photo evidence proves.
Hang on,
listen. Photo evidence proves that he took his helmet off. Steven, is his hands on his helmet? Is he forcing it off right there?
Oh yeah.
Is he forcing it off?
Falling off regardless.
Let me fix my spectacles real quick.
Do you know what he did? Hey guys.
Oh yeah, his hands are on the helmet. Jackson, look at me. Oops, my hat flew off.
It was
How
falling
did
off.
that happen?
It was falling off.
Hey,
All right,
did you know the Eagles are 2-9 in their last 11 games? Did you know that according to Next Gen Stats, that was the 7th most improbable wins in 2016? The Falcons had a 0 point.
Talk to me.
Hey, listen.
Talk to me when the Falcons win
Listen.
the Super Bowl.
Here we go.
Talk to me
Hey,
when
let me
the
finish.
Falcons
Let me
win
finish.
the
Hey, let me
Super
finish.
Bowl.
Hey, let me finish. Let me finish. Hey,
Here we go.
Hey, let me finish.
When was the last time the Falcons?
Let me finish.
You know, I would care more
Hey,
about
I'm trying to
this.
say something.
No. I would care more about
Oh,
this.
it sounds like you care a lot, bro.
I would
Jackson.
care more about this.
Jackson,
if it was a
listen.
playoff breaking
Listen,
game
the
borderline.
Falcons had a 0.7% chance to win with the minute 30 left. How do you let a team that has less than 1% chance come back and beat your Philadelphians in your hometown on Nick Foles night? That's embarrassing.
I just have one question for you. Do you like that?
Do you like
Do you
that?
like that?
Do you like that,
Jackson? Do you like that? Because Kirk Cousins like that. This entire listen. Like one last thing. Drake London being able to beat that defender on that edge route, getting into the end zone. I mean, it was just like the entire team just came together in that moment. Was just like, we're not losing this game. And then the key interception to put the game away by Jesse Bates. Oh my goodness!
No.
Best signing the Falcons have made in the last, I don't know, 7 years,
absolutely.
decade. I don't care what.
No,
he is such a king for us.
28-3.
No.
28-3.
That was 2016. That was 2016. What year is
got
it?
it from the control room. 28.
It was 2016. What year is it?
Yeah, what year were
That was
y'all?
2016. Hey,
Hey,
listen.
wait, what year did y'all win?
Can
the
we
Super
look
Bowl?
now? Y'all are 2-9.
Hey,
Chase, we're running out of time. I haven't been able to say anything real quick. Let me just say my points because I haven't been able to say anything
we
real
gotta
quick.
wrap it up, man.
I know, and I haven't been able to say anything real quick.
That's on you.
Now listen. So I will want to say one thing that this game does highlight, and something that I've been preaching from the start of the season, is that the Philadelphia Eagles secondary is bottom of the league, and and that 2-minute drive proves it. Because who puts a defense in prevent formation when a team has 2 minutes to drive down the field? We know what Kirk Cousins is able to do with his veteran experience when he has time in the pocket. Philadelphia put no pressure on Kirk Cousins in that 10-second, in that 2 minute, and then Drake London, like Steven said, shout out to you, man. That out route that put you in the end zone, the quick little hezzy to go out to the end zone, corner of the end zone, beautiful, man. And this, what you saw on Monday, everybody, is the Atlanta Falcons you're going to get for the rest of the season. So buckle up, baby, because the Dirty Birds are coming.
We're going to find out about this on Sunday night because we got another tough matchup with these Kansas City Chiefs and, unfortunately, Taylor Swift. So,
yeah, tea time.
Listen, that's all the time we have for Sports Out of Pocket tonight. So, listen, y'all tune in tomorrow night. Sports Pack is on from 6 to 7 p.m. And then tune in Friday at 11 o'clock. There is another show that we have on Wolf Sports Network. It is Triple Threat. These guys have put in so much work. Their first debut episode went incredible, and they just have nothing but better content coming up in the future. So make sure y'all are tuning into that, and also tuning into the great show that we already have with Sports Pack, and then keep tuning into us every Wednesday at 5, Sports Out of Pocket.
Next week I'm hosting.
All right. Yeah, that's right. So next week we have Mr. Voles hosting the show. Listen. All right. Just give him time. He's going to get better.
That's
give him
crazy.
time.
At least more than 5 minutes. Give him a chance.
All right. With all that being said, we will see you all next week.
Was just another kid in the crowd.